In fact, has rearmed.
It was the deadliest conflict in human history, a war that spanned every continent, every ocean, and reshaped the world forever. From the ashes of the First World War rose an even greater storm, one that consumed over 70 million lives. This is the story of World War II. The seeds of World War II were sown long before the first shots were fired. The Treaty of Versailles, signed in 1919, humiliated Germany after its defeat in the First World War. Crippling reparations, loss of territory, and a broken economy created fertile ground for radical ideologies to take root. In 1933, Adolf Hitler rose to power, promising to restore German pride and strength. His Nazi party spread propaganda of racial superiority and expansion. At the same time, in Asia, Japan pursued its own empire, invading Manchuria in 1931 and launching a full-scale war in China by 1937. The world watched, but did little. On September 1, 1939, Hitler invaded Poland. 2 days later, Britain and France declared war. World War II had begun. Blitzkrieg, lightning war, became Germany's new terrifying strategy. In a matter of weeks, Poland fell. Then, in 1940, German forces swept through Denmark, Norway, Belgium, the Netherlands, and France. Europe collapsed under Nazi power. Only Britain stood defiant. Winston Churchill, Britain's Prime Minister, declared, "We shall never surrender." The stage was set for the Battle of Britain. In the summer of 1940, the skies over Britain lit up with fire. The German Luftwaffe launched relentless bombing raids. London endured the Blitz, 57 consecutive nights of bombing. But Britain's Royal Air Force fought back using radar technology and sheer determination. By October, Hitler's plan to invade Britain had failed. It was Germany's first major defeat. While Europe burned, Japan continued its conquest in Asia. In 1940, Germany, Italy, and Japan formed the Axis powers. The world was dividing into two camps, the Axis and the Allies, led by Britain, China, and later the Soviet Union and the United States. In June 1941, Hitler launched Operation Barbarossa, the largest invasion in history against the Soviet Union. Millions of soldiers clashed in brutal battles across the Eastern Front. The Siege of Leningrad, the Battle for Moscow, these were wars within a war. December 7, 1941, a date that would live in infamy. Japan launched a surprise attack on the American naval base at Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. Over 2,400 Americans were killed. The next day, the United States declared war on Japan. Soon after, Germany and Italy declared war on America. The conflict was now truly global. By 1942, the Axis seemed unstoppable, but cracks were forming. In the Pacific, the U.S. Navy won decisive victories at the Battle of Midway, crippling Japan's fleet. In North Africa, Allied forces pushed back the German Afrika Korps, led by General Rommel. On the Eastern Front, the Battle of Stalingrad raged for months. It was one of the bloodiest battles in history. Entire divisions were destroyed in the frozen ruins. In February 1943, the German Sixth Army surrendered. The tide of war was turning. On June 6, 1944, the Allies launched Operation Overlord, D-Day, the largest seaborne invasion in history. Over 150,000 soldiers stormed the beaches of Normandy. It was the beginning of the end for Nazi Germany. Liberation spread across France, Belgium, and the Netherlands. By early 1945, Allied forces crossed into Germany itself. As Allied forces closed in from the west, the Soviets pushed from the east. Berlin became the final battleground. In April 1945, Adolf Hitler, realizing defeat was inevitable, took his own life in his underground bunker. On May 8, 1945, Germany surrendered. Victory in Europe, VE Day, was declared, but the war was not yet over. In the Pacific, Japan fought on fiercely, refusing to surrender. To end the war quickly, the United States took a fateful decision. On August 6th, an atomic bomb was dropped on Hiroshima. 3 days later, another on Nagasaki. Over 200,000 lives were lost. On August 15th, Japan surrendered. The Second World War had ended. World War II left the world in ruins. Over 70 million people were dead. Entire cities lay in ashes. The Holocaust had revealed the depths of human cruelty, with 6 million Jews murdered in Nazi concentration camps. But from the devastation came a new world order. The United Nations was founded in 1945 in the hope of preventing another global war. Yet the seeds of the Cold War were already sprouting as the United States and the Soviet Union emerged as rival superpowers. World War II was more than a conflict of nations. It was a battle for humanity's future. It showed the depths of our darkness and the resilience of our spirit. From the ruins of war, nations rebuilt, but the scars remain, a reminder of the cost of hatred and the price of peace. This was World War II, the war that changed the world forever.